So welcome to another episode of the Closers Klub podcast. I'm here today with Josue Velney, a real estate developer, real estate entrepreneur, and a guy who's inspired so many through just the work he's done and his history, his background. So I really just want to honor you and thank you for coming on the show today, Josue. You're a great guy, and definitely really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I think this is very important for the upcoming, next generation. And we didn't have podcasts when you and I were coming up as the way they are today. So this is powerful.
Absolutely. We had what they call the School of Hard Knocks. And a lot of folks don't, if you don't know what that is, you take a couple of lumps before you achieve your success. And I know we talked a little bit earlier about the importance of having these types of platforms to really just keep people going and showing folks what's possible and keeping that motivation going. So, no, man, I really appreciate that. And you're 100% correct. I really want to get into it by just talking a little bit about your origin story, where you were born and raised, where'd you come from, and how'd you get into real estate?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great question. Great to start off at the beginning. But I was born in Haiti, and then I came here, and I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, and then I got into left my parents through foster care and all that stuff. So then I was adopted. And then stayed with the same family I still call today, and that's how it really all started. And then grew up in the city of Somerville, and after that, went to Somerville High School, went through, and then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was working at Boston Closets in the city of Somerville, and then from there, I decided, I really wanted to join the military, but I was in college. I was going for criminal justice. And I realized it just wasn't a good fit for me. It really wasn't. And my mother told me, hey, you have two options. Either you stay in school or you can't stay here. Well, I decided to go in the military. So I did 5 years in the Marine Corps.
Wow, man. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Really respect and appreciate that. So as far as the foster care and being adopted, I didn't know that. That's why I do the show, because it really, we share things about each other that sometimes we don't normally cover, right? So how do you think that impacted you as a child emotionally, as far as your career goes, your motivation? Did it make you more hungry? Did it, make you struggle? What are your thoughts on that?
I think I had a pretty normal upbringing.
Excellent.
Even with that said, I do know that when I was in the military, a lot of people that succeed in the military come from rougher upbringings. Mm-hmm. So I think that played a part in me excelling very, very fast in the military. So, for example, I did 3 combat tours, 2 in Iraq. The first one, I was a machine gunner. The second one, I was a team leader. The third one, I was on ship with the Navy, and we ended up getting 32 pirates, right? And that's not even including all the training. I made the Marine Corps SWAT team 2 weeks after being in the fleet. And with that, that's a tag on you, like, they really like this guy, but, did he earn it, right? But after my 3rd deployment, there was no question about what I was about.
Wow, man. That makes a lot of sense to me now, because I see the tenacity and that passion and fire you have, like, in anything you do. And now in real estate, is translated into you really accelerating at a very rapid pace, faster than anyone I've seen. So it makes sense that you've had a history of really overcoming adversity. And I know, a lot of folks in life, sometimes people are born with a silver spoon in easier circumstances, and folks are born with rougher circumstances. But I find that it really, what defines us is our desire to succeed and being committed to overcoming those obstacles, and not looking at it as an obstacle, but just looking at it, you know what? This is the hand life dealt me, and I'm going to make sure I move forward regardless of that, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well, honestly, everything that I do in my company is, I did not go to Harvard or MIT or any university of that nature, but I believe I went to one of the best business schools, and that's the Marine Corps, right? Everything is done, and there's a reason for it. And especially the Marine Corps, we believe in being resourcefulness. We are never giving anything. We earn everything. Everything has a purpose. And that's what makes my company thrive, is realizing we're not going to have enough money. We're going to have to figure out how to put this deal together. How do we find that person that might be able to fund that deal, and figure out how to grow this company? But we've really grown it through being resourcefulness.
Wow, that's a great point, man. And I think that for a lot of folks who are out there just getting into business, if you didn't hear that, resourcefulness, right? Figuring out a way to get things done regardless of not having everything you need right now or you feel you need. You've got to just take that first step and try. And then those resources are there. It's just figuring out how to find them and figuring out the people you need to connect with, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, even when you talk about my origin story, how did I even get into real estate?
Right.
After 5 years in the Marine Corps, I decided, I was getting highly recruited through recon, which is top of the Marines. And one of my mentors says, absolutely not. Like, you've done 3 tours. There's no more you have to prove. There's no reason to do it. So at the time, I was taking the fire exam, and I got hired as a summer firefighter. So I was there, had a good W-2, which was very, very helpful in buying my first house. But I still had no money, right? So I had to figure out, okay, how do I put this together? And then so I started making a checklist. I said, okay, I'm going to go to X amount of open houses because I wanted to know about real estate. I wanted to know what to buy, how to buy. I had an agent, and I think similar to you that, I felt that my agent wasn't giving me the best service.
Right.
So I went to the real estate course, but I didn't become an agent at that time. But what I did through that process is starting understanding how do I put the pieces together, like first-time home buyers. What grant programs can I get into? And that's where the magic really happened. So for my first deal, it was in the city of Somerville, and I purchased it for $450. Today it's worth about 1.1.
Right.
And the way I structured that deal, I use a 3.5% down first-time home buyers on that. And then at the time, the sitting president was Barack Obama. So he was giving veterans back $8,000 on tax credit. And then on top of that, the city of Somerville was giving $5,000 back. I was supposed to close on November 1st and didn't close November 15th. So I negotiated with the lender to pay for my closing as well. So all in on that first purchase was $2,750.
Good for you. And I love the fact that you shared that story, Josue, because it really speaks to you practicing what you preach. Resourcefulness from the very beginning. It was started in the Marine Corps, transitioned afterwards into buying your first piece of real estate, and now into the next chapter of your career. And with that said, you kind of mentioned that there was a little bit of a journey there trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, right, after the Marine Corps. Tell us a little bit about that struggle to kind of find your way into real estate. What did that process look like to you?
The process was very streamlined. So I was still in the fire department, and then I actually made fire lieutenant within 3 years, which is very, very fast. And I was still buying real estate. I knew I didn't have enough money to buy in Boston. So I actually went to Western Mass. I was buying out in Springfield. I was buying 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units. And then eventually I realized, why am I paying for snow removal when it's the same for 16 or 32 units? So I actually built out the portfolio to 32 units. And now I since sold it all, and I'm only focused in Boston and Somerville. Gotcha.
So even before you bought your first property, when was that spark that you wanted to own real estate? When did that happen?
Honestly, I just wanted a place to. I had an H2 Hummer. I wanted a place to park my truck during snowstorms, and I knew my landlord wasn't going to allow it. So
I love it. So that was that first motivation. Like, I got to find a place to park this H2.
Absolutely, but it was a humbling experience.
Yeah,
because I did not have enough money, even though I had an H2.
Right.
I didn't have enough money to buy a house. So how do I buy a house? At the time, what I had to do is I got a second job. I was a bouncer. I went from paying, I think it was like $1,400. I had this beautiful apartment. I was a bachelor. I was single at the time.
Right.
And I moved into a smaller apartment that was like a 1-bedroom. It was like maybe 400, 500 square feet. I could be in bed and cook at the same time. It was just rough, but I had to make that sacrifice so I can purchase my first home.
Excellent. What year was that roughly?
That was 2010.
2010. So not too long ago, man. 13 years, and you've come a long way.
Yes.
You've come a long way. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing today, because you've got some really exciting things going on. And again, you've heard the origin story. You heard where you started. Now tell us where you are and where you're going.
Yeah, no, today I don't think I'll qualify for a first-time home buyer's loan anymore.
Definitely not, man. But you don't need it anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. Now I have bigger problems now.
Right.
So I'm looking at a 21-unit project right now in Roxbury. It's an RFP, and that's going to be 100% affordable. So I'm learning how to build affordable housing. I also have a 230-unit project that's going through zoning, and that's in Rosendale. I have a joint venture partner, Boston Properties, on that one.
Excellent. So those are the two major projects. Now, are you doing some other smaller ones as well? You had mentioned some buildings and because you have a construction company and a development company, correct?
Correct. I have a development company, a construction company. I have a licensed real estate broker as well, and I also do a little bit of management as well. But my true focus is really development. And I look at all the other ones, they're just assisting that growth and that way I'm trying to go. So, for example, as you know, development, sometimes going through zoning can take some time. So in between that time right now, I'm still doing a little bit of construction. I have a construction background. I have a construction license. I have a degree in construction management from Wentworth Institute of Technology. So it just really plays off each other. But a lot of that comes with how does the funnel grow? And what I mean by that is I really don't pay for marketing. My development marketing has grown so big that opportunities come. And you and I were talking about, I'm going to build a liquor store in Somerville. And that just came from the branding. I didn't look at this and say, hey, how do I reach out to this person and build this project for them? No, they found me.
Excellent. So speaking on that, how do you find your deals, right? Like a lot of it comes to you, but do you do any type of networking or connecting with different folks? Because I know you work very closely with Hakeem on our team to source deals, and maybe you have a couple other guys or girls out there who help you source deals that way. But what do you think is your primary source of deals? Is it just your reputation and brand?
Correct. I think that, the best marketing is to do what you say you're going to do, is to execute. If you build a brand that you can execute, people will attract to you because they don't want to waste their time. One rule I have in my company is I'm going to give you a fast yes or a fast no. I'm not here to waste anybody's time. I'm just here to do great deals and continue to build the company.
Love it. So I got another question relative to your H2 Hummer here. So how did you go from the guy that was just looking for real estate to park in H2 to a guy who's now developing multi-million-dollar development? And really, what I'm getting at, Josue, is what was the biggest obstacle, if any, to making that transition?
I think that the biggest struggle is always understanding what assets are and what liabilities are, and understanding where you are in life. And what I mean by that, when you're 20 and you think, oh, having a Hummer or a fast car is great, but what if you work 20 years, you can buy an island,
right?
Or you can have generational wealth. You can put your kids through any school or private school or whatever it may be. Right now, I'm actually working on a private school. And one of the main reasons that I'm working on this private school is because I have a child on the way. And I would love to have my child have the opportunity to go to a private school or any school that they would like. But to do that, you have to build those relationships.
Very true. How many kids do you have?
This will be my first.
Congratulations, man.
Thank
it's exciting. I've got 4 for those of you that don't know. And it's a journey. It's an adventure. It's life-changing, and it's amazing. But definitely your life is going to change for the better, but you're going to make some adjustments, but you'll see. You'll see. It's
I'm super excited.
Yeah. No, the first one is amazing.
One thing I already researched is how soon can your child take swimming lessons? Because I'm like, if they want to be a Marine, they better know how to swim. So we're going to be in that pool real early.
Sounds like that's important to you, to make sure they have all the opportunities available to them that you had and then some.
Absolutely. I don't want to restrict what they want to do and say, hey, I'm a developer, so you got to be a developer. Or I was in the fire department, you got to be a fire department, or a Marine Corps. I just want to have opportunities for them.
Love it. And something I know that you did that I think is definitely worth sharing is that you decided to go back to school later in life after your Marine career to learn the real estate development game. Can you, just tell us a little bit about that journey, about that process, and how you think that's helped you?
I think it's really all a journey, right? It's you hit roadblocks and then you figure out how to get over it or how to go through it. I started, which was maybe 2016. I had the courage to start doing some rehabs, got myself in trouble. Next thing I know, I'm in court with a contractor and I got to fire them, So right. That's really where that came from, and realizing that, as you know, we can find the greatest deals and we can make a lot of money. But once you start the construction, if you don't control it, you're going to lose a lot of money. And that was the aha moment that I said, this is my weak point. How do I make it my strength? And through that, that's when I decided to get my construction license. I decided to go to Wentworth and just becoming a better contractor. But what's fascinating is that now that I look back at it, what everybody was saying was actually true. They're like, why are you going to school? Why are you going to do construction school? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Because today I'm really a developer that just understands construction, which is, as you know, on a development project, 70% of it is construction related. So that's the strength of my company. The two biggest strengths, I think, in my company, resourcefulness and construction.
It sounds like you're very big on ensuring that you have a very strong knowledge base and you're willing to commit to educating yourself to make that happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, one thing that I'm really focused on right now is really diving into my performers, really understanding how to make the numbers move, how to make those, especially in this today's market,
Right.
try to make these things pencil out.
Absolutely. And that's a challenge, right? But you've definitely been well prepared for that, you know, just through your journey and through really kind of going back to school. And I really am glad you mentioned that, Josue, because that's the thing I think a lot of folks don't realize is just how much goes into preparation behind the scenes to get to these higher levels of the business. No matter where you're starting, you have to start by learning the process and surrounding yourself with the right people. And with that said, do you have any mentors that kind of helped you through this journey on the real estate front, or is it
Well,
you're more self-taught?
Before we even get into that, I just want to just bring a point of that. A lot of investors, even today, they play this game short. They play this game for this year or the next 3 years, when I want to be in this game for 30, 40 years. I don't want to retire at 65. I want to try to put another deal together. You know, when you're playing that long and you say you went back to school, this is a short period of my career,
Right.
where this is going to impact the next 30, 40 years of my career. So I think education is important, because a lot of people don't take action because they haven't educated themselves.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the first step, like you said. And once you have it, I believe it instills a lot of confidence, right? Do you feel that? Because you said obviously your first project didn't go as planned. You went back to school, and then now you're crushing it out here. So it sounds like that really instilled a whole different level of understanding and confidence for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you can't be afraid to fail. You're not going to be the best at anything. When you start off, you're always going to be bad, right? But that's your baseline. And now there's room for improvement and continue. It's like if you go to the gym and you're disappointed, go to the gym more.
Exactly.
Right? If you're not happy with the way you look, go for a run. There's just ways that you just got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and getting better. And sometimes it's not about going for a run. It's about, like you're talking about, mentorship, finding somebody that's a runner.
Correct.
And find a running group and hang out with them. I guarantee you'll become a better runner.
100%. 100%, man. All right, there we go. We got lights again. Ooh, they paid the bill. Appreciate that. Excellent. No, and with that said, Josue, did you have any mentors that were instrumental and key in really helping you figure this real estate thing out?
I think along the way, I have had a lot of mentors. And I feel what's fascinating, that where I am now in my career, I think success brings many fathers. You know, I've heard that many times, where now I have the relationship with so many different people that I see as mentors, that I can pick up the phone, which is shortening up my learning curve. And you say, how did you go from your first time home buyer to bigger developments? That's part of the reason why I've been able to do that. It's because of relationships. But I have had the same mentor really since I was 14 years old, from the Sullivan YMCA.
Excellent.
And then from there, of just always talking to him and understanding, hey, if I have a question, he's going to be able to answer it. Because, they can't play the game for you, but they can be your coach.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said, man. And on that note, what do you think separates you from most developers you've met over the years? Your journey, your process. What do you think it is that makes you different?
Marine Corps. I think that it's really it's that mindset of that transition of going through boot camp. They say they break you down to build you up. Your mindset is different, right? Take development out of it. And you look at some of the most successful people, it's mindset. That's why, Michael Phelps, his mindset, all these people, it's really comes down. I think before you really dive into any profession, you have to fix your mindset before you even start that process.
It's funny you say that, because every day I wear a bracelet. Oh, I don't have it on today, but most days I wear a bracelet, I should say. And it reads, mindset matters. Because to me, it's a fundamental piece of success. You've got to get your mind right. And I think a big part of that are the habits that you adopt every day, that discipline to engage in those habits, and the habits that will serve you and not break you down. So are there any routines or any habits that you have on a daily basis that you feel empower you to achieve your goals?
I wake up early. I feel like waking up early, the first thing I do is either read, go over emails, and that's just like my time of just calm, just myself and my dog, just hanging out. And then after that, I go to the gym. I go to the gym on an empty stomach, and that really starts my day. My weeks are usually the same from Monday through Saturday. Sunday's a little bit different, but that really starts my day, and just understanding, okay, hey, my competitor might be working. You know, I can't be taking days off. Not yet. Maybe 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I could take days off. But I feel like right now, where I am in space, I have an opportunity to make something great. And I cannot take a day off because of that. I also feel like, as you know, I'm big into Roxbury. And Roxbury, you know, some of my competitors are 40, 45, 60, 50 years old, right? So they got all those years. They got all those employees, right? So how do I take time off? I can't, right? Somebody says, hey, how did you get Boston Business Journal 40 under 40? I go, do you see where I compete? I'm competing with 40-year-old companies, not people. I'm not even 40 yet.
Right. How old are you?
39.
Good for you, man. That's it, man. Love it. I love it. I got you by a couple of years, man. But listen, you definitely are putting in that work, man. There's nothing that you're not going to be able to achieve. And I think you're going to catch a lot of these guys who have been out here 40 plus years.
Oh, absolutely. I think especially in the real estate development field, it only takes a few deals for you to be capitalized, positioned right. Like mentally, like I already picked who's on my team. You know, I have all the seats selected already, you know, because I know to go where I'm going to need a team. I can't do it by myself.
Well said, man. And I think that's super important for all of us who start off as solopreneurs and really want to transition to entrepreneurs. The team is really what makes it possible, right? You can only do so much as one person, but there's an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And, you know, I think as a young man, I didn't really value that. But as I've gotten older and really looked to grow my business as well, that's been probably the biggest lesson I've learned, is that I need to bring in the right people to really support the overall vision, because you can't do it alone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think everybody's personality traits are so different. Like myself, I'm high energy. I'm big picture, right? If you tell me to go look at a job site, I'm excited. I'm looking at gas stations, knocking on doors. Like I'll keep on knocking on doors until somebody says yes. That's my personality. But the opposite is the person that really wants to deep dive in that performer and save us $100 a month, or find rent where we can increase rent, or whatever it may be. That's the detailed person. That's the opposite of who I am, that really will make sure my company benefits from that. I also brought in somebody that I thought that's what they were going to be great at, but they're a great property manager. So that's the seat that they sit on. And by taking all that off my plate, it lets me focus on development.
Development and being out here to share your message, right? We recently got to really connect at an event we both spoke at, which I thought was great, man. And got to hear more of your story, which is very inspiring. And this is why I wanted to have you on here today. And when you reflect back on your career and look back, I know you share a lot with others, and you know, we've spoken about these things before, but what would you say to the listeners out there if you had to give yourself some early advice early in your career? What would you tell yourself before you started on this journey, you know, from what you've learned thus far?
Don't give up. Keep going. Keep going. Every failure is the next step to get into the right place. And I think that's really what, if you look at the 30, 40-year-old companies, that's how they got there. But also don't be afraid to compete with bigger developers and contractors, because those big contractors and developers were small one day.
Very true.
A lot of people are always afraid of how high they can go if they can't compete. I don't have this, I don't have that. The Marine Corps has always been thriving on that. That's what we were built on, and that's what the core of my company is. Like, I didn't even have to create a new business plan. I just needed a new mission, which is real estate development.
Well said, man. Well said. Well, definitely, Josue. Is anything else you want to share with folks? Our audience is primarily real estate investors who are getting started. Some are established. Some are, you know, in the middle. And anything else you want to share to really kind of just keep them going, to keep them inspired?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think listening to podcasts like this and really educating yourselves and just making benchmarks or directions of what you're trying to go. You know, I can tell you one thing that I have done is that at one point in my life, I was reading 20 to 50 books per year, right? So I was really consuming a lot of knowledge.
Impressive,
I think that was important. Another part of my life, I used to do like 6, 7 networking events per week. Wow. Right. You know, and that was just to really get out there and understanding how the pieces move, who's moving around. Like, you have to put in that work. You cannot substitute the work. Right. And you were talking about, I started in 2010. it's taken me 13 years to be considered an overnight success, right? Think about that. Really think about that, how much work that you have to put in, right? And even when I was a firefighter, I was working so much on the real estate. I was like, I got to pick one, right? And I just really love real estate. I love development. I love the grind. I love the work.
It shows, man. I got a new nickname for you, NDO, man. No days off. Because you're a beast out here, man, and I respect it. It takes one to know one, but no, what you shared, it's definitely powerful stuff, man. And I think that folks are really going to get something positive from it. And I hope that they can just take that example and realize what's possible if they're willing to commit and put in the work. It really comes down to that commitment piece, man. Excellent. So how can folks connect with you, Josue? Do you have any special programs, coaching, mentorship, or anything that you started yet? And if you haven't, I'm sure it's coming. But how can folks connect with you?
No, really my website. Honestly, I think that's maybe more of a 2 to 5 year, maybe even 10-year goal, where my real focus now is really putting in that work, doing the work. And I don't want to be one of those people that teach and don't do. I want to do, and I want other people to see what I do. Obviously, like today, like I do leave time to nurture the next generation, because I feel that, and to a certain degree, that certain people wasn't that way, and they approached it more as seeing me as a competitor, which I see now why. But if I see somebody that's just as talented as me and it's a younger version of me, I want to give them all my resources, because that's gonna wake me up the next day, because I know they're coming.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like I'm driven by them coming to get me and me getting to get the next guy. That's the jungle.
You've been in a place where they were coming to get you, man, and I'm sure they weren't getting you. They didn't know what they were in for when they came to try to get you.
Absolutely not. 32 Pirates.
There you go. So what's your website?
It's just velneydevelopment.com.
Spell that out so folks know.
VELNEY development.
There you go. .com. And the big thing I know a way you can support Josue is definitely by providing them with deals. If you have any leads, what markets are you in? What areas are you in? What properties are you looking for? Let folks know, because people will hit you up, man. We want this to be an opportunity for you to plug your business and get something in addition to sharing the information, but get something back.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm a Roxbury resident, and I'm purchasing 10-mile radius from my front door. So, I don't like going that far. As you know, like if you have a project in Lynn, you have a project in Somerville, it's
spread you thin.
Yeah, it's really spread you thin. So right now, I think my 2 major markets is Roxbury and Somerville, because that's where I grew up.
Gotcha. So pretty much all of Boston, though, right? All of Boston, Somerville, those are kind of your 2 hubs. Yeah. And what types of deals? What types of properties?
Right now, I'm really focused on developments, but I'll do anything from 3 units to 300 units. It can be commercial. It really doesn't matter. I'm not too worried about the asset class. I think that we'll figure out if it's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Excellent. No, that's great, man. Well, I definitely want to thank you again for coming on the show. Your story is very inspiring. I learned a lot about you today that inspires me, and I'm sure it inspires many other. And I just want to honor you and show my respect for you, man, and appreciate you coming on for sure, man.
No, thank you.
Amazing.
I appreciate it. Over time I get to sit down with you, as like you and I haven't been that close because Hakeem's always in the middle. Right. He's the middleman.
Definitely. But no, as I've gotten to know you, man, honestly, it's been great. It's been refreshing to see someone, a kindred spirit, like-minded person, put in the work ethic. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon, and like I said, it takes one to know one, and you really taken what the hand life dealt you and turned it into something amazing, man. So definitely want to show respect for that. And again, really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for coming on, man.